If you're already growing food at home, you're ahead of most people. That's not flattery, that's just true. Most backyards in this country are pure decoration. Grass, a few flowers, maybe a tree nobody planted on purpose. You made a different choice, and that matters. But before we go deeper, I want to hear from you. Where are you in this journey? Have you just put your first seeds in the ground, or do you already have a full system running? Drop a comment below and let me know. Are you a beginner just starting out, or are you already harvesting? I want to know who I'm talking to today. Now, regardless of where you are in that process, I want you to consider something honest. Think about a fire extinguisher. Almost every home has one. It hangs in the kitchen, it looks right, it makes people feel safer just by being there. But most of those extinguishers have never been checked. Some are half empty, some are the wrong type for a kitchen fire. They look like preparedness, they feel like preparedness. But the day something actually catches fire, a lot of them won't work the way people assume they would. Most backyard gardens are the same thing. They look like food security. They feel like food security. You're outside, you're growing something, you're not entirely dependent on a store shelf. That feeling is real. But the honest question is whether your backyard would actually function the way you're assuming it will on the day it needs to. I asked myself that question a few years ago. I had a garden I was proud of. Tomatoes, zucchini, lettuce, herbs. It looked productive. It felt productive. And then I did the math. What I had growing could produce maybe one decent salad for one person for one day. That was the day I understood the difference between growing food and building food security. And that's exactly why I made this video, to show you how to close that gap. Here is something most gardening content will never say out loud. The most popular backyard crops in America are almost entirely water. Zucchini is 17 calories per 100 grams. Cucumbers are 15. Iceberg lettuce sits at 14. You could eat a full pound of cucumber and consume fewer calories than a single slice of bread. A zucchini plant in August feels like it's feeding the neighborhood. As fuel for your body, it barely moves the needle. This is not a reason to stop growing those things. Vitamins matter, flavor matters, fresh food matters. But if you're growing a backyard garden because you want your family to depend less on the grocery store, what you grow matters enormously. A family of 4 needs roughly 8,000 calories a day to stay fed. That's about 2.9 million calories a year. A standard 200 square foot garden planted with tomatoes, zucchini, and salad greens will contribute, on a generous estimate, about 0.5% of that. 0.5%. I remember when I first ran that number, I ran it twice because I didn't believe it. I felt a bit like a fool, honestly. There I was, covered in dirt, proud of my harvest, only to realize I'd grown a week's worth of snacks, not a season's worth of survival. And then I looked at my garden differently. Because once you see that number honestly, you can start building something that actually works. Nay, the fire extinguisher that never gets checked doesn't protect anyone, but the one you inspect, refill, and learn to use, that one works. There are 3 specific gaps that separate a hobby garden from a functional food system. Most people have no idea these gaps exist. Closing even one of them changes everything. The first gap is calories. The crops that actually feed people are not the ones most people plant. Sweet potatoes can produce over 100 pounds of food from a single 4x4 raised bed. Butternut squash grows heavy, stores for up to 6 months without refrigeration, and delivers serious nutritional weight in every meal. Bush beans are calorie-dense, high in protein, and they fix nitrogen in your soil while they grow, meaning they improve the ground they're planted in instead of just taking from it. Potatoes, planted densely, can return 10 pounds of food for every pound put in the ground. These are not exotic crops, they're just not photogenic. A bowl of cherry tomatoes gets shared on social media, a pile of dried bush beans doesn't. But one of those things can feed your family through a hard month. The other one cannot. The second gap is protein. I didn't think about this for years. I had a productive garden. I felt good about it. And then I realized that almost everything I was growing was a side dish, not a meal. My backyard had no protein strategy whatsoever. Dry beans, black beans, navy beans, pinto, can be grown, harvested, dried, and stored for years. They are one of the most complete foods a backyard can produce. A small flock of 4 to 6 laying hens kept in a space smaller than most garden beds can produce 20 to 24 eggs per week, every week, through most of the year. That is protein coming from your own property on a schedule you control. There's a specific kind of quiet confidence that comes from walking out to a coop in the morning, feeling that warmth in your hand, and knowing breakfast didn't require a supply chain. It's not just about the protein, it's about the sound of that loop closing. It's about the soil getting better while you get fed. Most people keep chickens and garden as separate hobbies. In a working food system, they are the same infrastructure. The chickens eat the garden waste. Their manure feeds the soil grows the food. That closed loop is what separates a system from a collection of unrelated projects. The third gap is time. This is the quiet one, the one nobody names. A backyard garden produces food for maybe 90 to 120 days of the year. Your family eats for 365. That gap, 245 days where the garden produces nothing, is the one most people never plan for. And because they never plan for it, they spend 8 months of every year completely dependent on the store, even after years of gardening. The bridge across that gap is preservation, canning, dehydrating, fermenting, root cellaring. I used to see these as advanced skills for serious homesteaders. I don't see them that way anymore. Preservation is not optional equipment, it is the foundation. Without it, a garden is a summer hobby. With it, a garden becomes a year-round food system. A butternut squash planted in June can still be feeding your family in February, but only if someone understood that it needed to be harvested before the first frost, cured for 10 days in a warm, dry space, and stored at 55 degrees. And the growing is the easy part. The system around the growing is what creates resilience. There's a moment that happens for a lot of people who start thinking this way. It doesn't feel dramatic. It feels quiet, almost like a small correction. You stop looking at your backyard as a place that produces nice things and start looking at it as infrastructure. Part of your household's resilience, not a hobby, not a weekend project, infrastructure. I think about it like the difference between a decorative fence and a load-bearing wall. Both look like part of the structure, but one of them is actually holding something up. A food security backyard is not necessarily bigger than a regular garden. It's layered differently. It has calorie-dense crops in the ground, not just beautiful ones. It has at least one perennial system, fruit trees, berry bushes, asparagus beds, that produces year after year without being replanted. And it has a preservation strategy that connects the summer harvest to the winter table. A metric I started using is what I call the resilience window. Not how long you could survive entirely off your backyard, because that's not a realistic goal for most families. But how many days your backyard could meaningfully extend your independence if supply chains got difficult? 2 weeks, a month, 3 months. Most backyards, measured honestly, have a resilience window of about 3 days. A small but intentionally designed food system backyard can push that window to 60 or 90 days. That is not a fantasy. That is a realistic outcome for an ordinary backyard, planned with the right priorities. And the difference between 3 days and 60 days is not more land. It's a different way of thinking about what the land is for. The fire extinguisher on your wall right now, do you know if it works? That question used to feel separate from gardening. It doesn't anymore. Most people who grow food are doing something valuable. The effort is real. The intention is right. What's missing isn't commitment. It's a framework for turning that effort into something that functions when it needs to. Preparedness doesn't begin when the crisis arrives. It begins the season before, when someone decided to plant something that would actually matter and built a small system around it instead of just a garden. If this way of thinking resonates and you want to see how these pieces connect into a more organized system, there's a guide called the Backyard Miracle Farm System that walks through exactly that. The link is in the pinned comment. Before you go, I want to ask you something. Think about your backyard right now, honestly. Not what it could be, what it actually is today. What's the one gap, calories, protein, or time, that would make the biggest difference to close first? Leave it in the comments. I read every single one. If this channel is giving you something worth coming back to, subscribe. There's a lot more of this kind of thinking coming. Honestly, I'd spend one afternoon this week just running the numbers on what your current garden actually produces in calories. Not to feel bad about it, just to see it clearly. That single hour of honesty will change every planting decision you make from here on.